Our featured guest today goes by the name of Mr. Golf. I'm guessing his parents didn't name him that legally back in the day, so we'll also let you in on the secret that his name is Jim Corbett, but it's MrGolf.com. And Jim, the timing is fascinating because we are planning some of our spring and summer video ideas that we'll be out shooting. And one of them is a series of tips and vignettes for new golfers. The game can be
Terrific.
intimidating on a number of levels, and both from playing it and then just kind of knowing how to fit in as you're playing this game. You don't want to be the one who gets scolded or yelled at, or, sometimes people can be less than friendly. So it's good to meet you here via Zoom. And as you are out in Seattle, how did you come to this Mr. Golf world?
Well, let me just clarify one thing, Bill, and I appreciate the introduction, but the name that I chose or that I go by is I don't want to be presumptuous and say Mr. Golf. It's Mr. Golf Etiquette. And and I this summer, 2025, will be 60 years in golf for me. And I started out as a caddy. I was a 14-year-old kid. My dad took me up to the golf course and introduced me to the caddy master, and I started, doing loops after that, and did it all through high school and even a little through college. And it was a great way to get outdoors, make a few bucks, and learn the game of golf. But the thing that impressed me the most, even as a kid, was this very interesting and elaborate system of golf etiquette
Mm.
that people practiced. I caddied for some terrific golfers, and I caddied for some terrible golfers. And every one of them knew all the rules of etiquette. They knew where to stand. They knew when to be quiet. They knew how to support somebody when they were trying to make a putt, that kind of thing. Good job, all this kind, and really helping people play their best game. And I thought this is a really unique system here, this golf etiquette thing. I really liked it a lot. And so many years later, when I decided to try my hand at writing, and I love the game of golf. And so I thought, well, I'm going to get involved in this somehow. And I chose this idea of promoting good golf etiquette.
Well, I love
It's
the idea. It's needed,
yeah,
especially post-pandemic, where we have a lot of people who are coming into the game for the first
right.
time. And over the years, the etiquette world of golf has kind of taken a back seat to just the raw popularity of it. So you
Hmm.
go to a place like Augusta National, where etiquette is still very much observed at all times, or you're not
Hmm.
coming back. But then
Right.
you might go to a really nice course near you somewhere and find that etiquette's not observed much at all. And I'm not saying that to be snobbish or to discourage anybody from
No.
playing. In fact, the whole point of the conversation is to provide the information in case nobody else is providing it, right? So
Right. Right.
I remember a few years ago when I was helping coach a high school golf team. We went somewhere. It was not a fancy course, a public course where high school kids play.
Yep.
And the guys from our team were walking in and with their hats on. And I just said, guys, I know you're going to think I am literally the old man yelling, get off my lawn. Take your hat off when you go in a clubhouse. Just
Yeah.
take your hat off when you go in a clubhouse. And they looked at me
Right.
like I said. Uh, and that's one very unimportant example of
Yeah.
where etiquette and kind of that gentlemanly conduct fits in.
Right.
So let's start our discussion, though, actually on the golf course, or maybe even in the parking lot and the range and the putting area as you get ready to go. Where do you want to start?
All of those are important in the aspect of golf etiquette, and golf etiquette writ even larger to etiquette in general. The thing that I think of is that etiquette is sort of the lubricant that oils the wheels of society, of social interactions, right? And the history of golf etiquette goes back to the very earliest days of the game when it was gentlemen mostly who were playing. And I think to myself sometimes, why is it that when somebody, Scotty Scheffler or anybody who's at the Masters this week is going to be standing up to hit their shot. And they tell the crowd, everybody in the crowd, be quiet. Why are they doing that when somebody like Aaron Judge can hit a home run with 50,000 people shouting and cheering and that kind of thing? What's the difference? Well, the difference is, when you're hitting a ball coming into you at 90 miles an hour, it's just reflexes. You're just, responding, right? But when you're standing there over your golf ball, it's you who has to act. You are the one who initiates the action. And that takes tremendous concentration. And everybody wants to support the other person playing their best game. So I think that's where, the etiquette comes from in the game. But yeah, starting out on the practice green is a good place to talk about golf etiquette. Um, when you're getting ready to go out and play, you want to get used to the greens, that kind of thing. If you're standing there with 6 golf balls lined up and you're hitting them all the way across the green, and there are 4 other people who are practicing too, that's not taking into consideration the needs and the experience of these other people.
Well, I'm glad you used the phrase other people because I think maybe the overarching launch pad for the conversation should be a realization or reminder that you're not likely the only person on the property.
No doubt.
And as we enter into this age in our culture where it is
Mm-hmm.
all me first, golf,
Yeah.
golf etiquette says, oh, there are other people here. Unless you're fabulously wealthy and you own your own golf
Right.
course, chances
Right.
are there are others around you. And
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
pertains to, as your example on the putting green, it pertains to the volume of the music. If you're choosing to bring a speaker along at a place that
That,
allows it, not a fan of that because I kind of,
I think that is a terrible thing. So yeah, it's just bad for the environment and all. The point here is that, as you said, a lot of people are taking a me first attitude. And I see people a lot of times who think, I paid my money, I'm going to do whatever I want. I want to
right.
be able to wear whatever I want. I want to be able to act and talk as loudly as I want. I want to do it. But they forget the fact that all these other people paid their money too. And so there has to be some kind of compromise there. And that's what the golf etiquette. It's really, etiquette is always about putting the needs of another person ahead of your own needs.
Mm.
That's what etiquette is all. If you boil it down, that's what etiquette is all about. Whether you're at a restaurant, at a movie theater, on a golf course, or driving on the road, putting the needs of other people ahead of your own, and that's a humbling thing, and but it's an important thing in making society work. So
And just by way of suggestion, for those of you who are already irritated with both Jim and myself for suggesting that music not, we don't need to share in whatever your playlist is, I say go ahead, crank it to the fullest volume possible, but put your AirPods in.
no doubt.
Just go ahead and do what they do on the range on tour, where everybody out there is practicing with something. On tour, it's probably some self-help guru in their ears, but whatever
Right.
it is, go ahead and entertain yourself with your music, but just know
Right.
we don't need to hear it. Because if I brought my preference for the style of music and I cranked it out, you would all run for the hills. You'd be like, what is
Right.
that?
Right.
So
Well, you can see from the background in my office here,
it's a violin taking on the
I'm
line.
a fiddler,
Yeah,
right? I play fiddle tunes and old timey, square dancey kind of
that'd be
fiddle tunes.
fascinating to hear that across the golf course.
Right, right. So sometimes maybe I should just bring my fiddle with me and
Right.
play tunes while everybody else is hitting. So
Yeah.
no, it's yeah, your preferences are great for you, but everybody else doesn't need to be tortured or exposed to them.
I do appreciate the 7 habits of highly effective golfers that you put together. And the first one starts with play safely. I know that sounds kind of duh, right?
Right,
Except that new golfers may not know this.
right,
Where to stand when somebody else is playing. We don't need
right,
you getting drilled by them. So to
right.
start with that very basic level and then start working our way through pace of play and repairing the golf course and then
Hmm.
respect of others. I really like the continuum that you've put together on your website at mrgolf.com.
Thank you.
So let's give some realistic expectations for pace of play. I think that would be the top of the complaint list for established golfers and probably the mystery for new golfers. They don't really know what pace of play is. What does that look
Right. Right. It has been the number one complaint for a long time. I started the Mr. Golf Etiquette website in 1996 when this thing of websites
like?
was a
Say there were
brand.
websites then. Wow.
There were, it was a brand. It was so new. The concept was so new that the New York Times was featuring a website once a week on Tuesdays in their newspaper, and I got featured. My website got featured in the New York Times, and because hey, they even have websites for golf. Look at that, you know.
That's
And
cool.
so it was really fun. So, but yeah, so pace of play, everybody loves playing golf, right? Everybody's loves being the experience of being out on this beautiful golf course, all these great things. And they want to have a wonderful time while they're out there, but they don't want it to last all day.
Right.
And so this is the number one complaint about why some people get out of the game of golf. It takes me 6 hours to play a round of golf. One of the things that's important in when you're trying to play your best game is momentum, right? You don't want to hit the ball and then stand there and wait for 20 minutes while somebody in the group ahead of you takes 6 practice swings and doesn't really know yet what they're going to do, what club they're going to hit, those kind of things. Or there's so many experiences out there where people could save time and still have a great experience of their own, right? When you're playing in a cart path only situation and you walk out to your ball, but you don't have any clubs with you because you're trying to assess what's going to happen. Then you got to walk back. And when you park your cart or leave your clubs on the wrong side of the green, when you're putting, right now you have to walk all the way back across, all the way back across again. So there are certain things that people can do if they thought ahead
Hmm.
that would greatly improve their own pace of play. I always like to point out that, if you're a bogey golfer, you're hitting 90 shots, right? Um, and you take an extra minute on each one of those shots for unnecessary stuff, you're adding an hour and a half to your game, but also to the game of everybody behind you. And so that's where the thoughtfulness comes in. That's where I'm going to put the needs of others. I'm going to take one practice swing instead of my customary 4 or 5.
My
I'm,
aim
you
point.
know,
Yeah, and
so
I have a friend who is notorious and annoying. Notoriously annoying, I think, is the combination we're looking
it's
for.
good. That's a tough combination.
Well, he's mastered it, and that is searching for golf balls.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
So many times I have said to him, I'll just give you some golf balls. Like,
Right,
stop, just stop. I
right,
think one of
right.
the worst inventions ever regarding the pace of play and direct impact is the extendable
Yeah,
ball
yeah,
retriever. So
right,
now you've got people, it's almost always all guys. They have
right,
that stupid thing in their bags, and now they're standing along the edge of a
right,
water hazard and they're
right.
just going fishing.
And
Because,
they're fishing for golf balls.
yeah,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
what better quality ball are you going to find than one that's been underwater for 7 months?
Right, right. No, that's a great one. Yeah.
From a pace of play standpoint, all of those
Yeah.
add up to a nightmare. And it also means that back at the golf course, from an operation standpoint, they're seeing the traffic back up. They're having unhappy golfers come in late.
Right.
They're having to figure out, hopefully through effective rangering or player management or whatever fancy term we've put on it these days, how to get to the cause of the backup, or as they like to say, the head of the snake, and figure out how to fix all of this.
Yeah, yeah.
Another one that I really appreciate you listening is I'll probably steal some of these for the videos that we're going to do, but it's keep an eye on every shot in your group. If
Right.
if you have a regular playing partner who seemingly cannot see anything past the end of the tee box, then you're going to do yourself a favor
Hmm.
by standing behind while he hits, Watch where the ball goes because you know that 4 minutes from now he's going to go, I don't know where it went.
I have no idea. Was it that tree or that tree where it went in the woods? And so yeah. So no, that's very important, and you are a part of a group, so you have to take care of each other, help each other move along, and
Yeah.
so a very important part of it.
By the way, I'm going to share the link to the 7 habits in the podcast notes, whether you're listening
Okay.
or watching, so that everybody can go right to. It's a really good list, especially for new golfers. I'm going to skip down a bit. The sixth habit that you list is know your game. Play with reasonable expectations from tees that are suited to your game.
Right.
Cannot stress enough how your enjoyment factor
Right.
will be directly impacted by making sure you're playing from an appropriate set of tees. If you have saved your money for a bucket list round of golf at your dream course
Right.
and you're a 20 handicap, we're glad you're playing, keep practicing, keep playing. But when you go to that bucket list course, I know you've paid your $300 or your 500, whatever. I mean,
Yeah.
it's the
Yeah. Yeah.
destination course.
A big number. Right.
Going to play it from the tips
Right.
going to do a couple of things. One, it's going to make you hate that golf course within about 3 holes.
Mhm.
Number two, it's going to make you angry, miserable, and unpleasant to be around. And number three, none of your friends are ever going to want to play with you again because you're
Right.
already 14 over through 4 holes
Right. Right.
because you didn't choose the right tees,
Right.
right?
No, no doubt. There's so many experiences that we've all had, and it's an ego thing, right? I'm going to play from the tips, and you get back there, and it's 7,200 yards, and your game is really more like a 6,200 yard game, so it's going to be so much more enjoyable for you, and it's still golf. It's still the same course. It's still the same experience, but you're going to be in a much better frame of mind. So
I've heard it
that's
said
important.
though. I've heard people say that directly, Jim. They're like, "Hey, look, I paid. I'm going to get the full experience." Wow.
Right, right, right,
Okay, so 6.5 hours later,
right.
when you need more Advil and more golf
And
balls,
and
I don't know
another
why that's important.
and another dozen golf balls. That's the other thing. You're gonna
Yeah.
lose them in the water. You're gonna lose them in the woods. Yeah, it's yeah.
I would actually move that and a couple of the other things we've talked about, even a little bit ahead of the importance of knowing the rules of the game. I'm not minimizing the importance of the rules, but the rule book has some really squirrely areas where you can get touched up in some ways that make you think, what have I gotten myself into? You'll get there eventually as you get more serious about the game. But you could probably save the minutia of the rules. Did you drop that from knee level? Did you
Right.
take one club length or two? I mean, those are the kind of things that make people shake their heads and go, I'm just going to go bowling. It's a lot easier to understand. So, where do you put kind of the importance of rules? And maybe is there a starter set of rules versus the competition set of rules that you would recommend?
Yeah, the first thing in the starter set of rules is ready golf, right? So it's an important thing for if you have a group of new golfers and they're fumbling through their bag at the tee and they're getting a snack and they're doing all this other kind of stuff. Whoever's ready should get up and hit. You're not in a competitive round, so you don't have to worry about that. So ready golf and it's true not just off the tee. If you're not ready to putt, let somebody else putt. This kind of thing. The new rule in golf of leaving the flag in the hole really helps with pace of play. That was always a bugaboo about tending the flag, getting it who's on, who's off, who's long, those kind of things. So that really, some of the new rules that they have implemented are really there for pace of
Yeah.
play. Uh,
One of the, I don't know, conciliations, if that's the right word I'm looking for, concessions. How about we go with concessions?
Concessions, yeah,
We
yeah.
can make to the game to new golfers is just to us, and this isn't in the USGA rules. Well, I guess technically you could say it's your equitable stroke control, but just set a maximum score. There's
Uh-huh.
literally no need for you to
Right.
take 16. There's,
Right,
there's
right.
no need for that. You know, I've seen it happen. I played with a buddy who was, or I heard about a couple of buddies who were playing, and one of them was 8 shots up on the final hole, and he ended up losing by 5 because he took a 17 or some silly, I don't even know. It was just like, you did what now?
Right, right.
Were you just pumping him in the water? No, no, I was just hitting bad shots. Okay, well,
Yeah, yeah.
I just don't
No,
get.
that's especially for new golfers, pick up after you've hit 6 or 8 shots on a hole, 6 shots on a hole, and put it on the green and putt out, that kind of thing. Just so that you're keeping the pace of play moving along,
Yeah, I
So
mentioned back when I used to help coach high school golf, the conference had a rule they called the 7-11 rule,
okay.
which you'll never find anywhere else, but it was helpful actually because a lot of those kids were beginning golfers. I mean, they're playing with grandpa's clubs that still have screws on the face of them. And
Right.
7-11 rule was if you're not on the green by your seventh shot, put it on the edge of the green and your maximum score is 11.
There you go.
Still took a long time. But can you imagine we'd still be out there for some of them if there was
Right.
some
Right.
sort of a guideline. So maybe for a new golfer, something along those lines that make it move along and won't punish you for being a new golfer.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's brilliant. That's just the way it should be. And I think a lot of people try that, but then there's that person who says, "I paid my money, I'm taking all my shots." And
Yeah.
it's like, no, you'll enjoy the game, you'll enjoy the experience a lot more if you're done in 4.5 hours, that kind of thing. So,
Also, a reminder for those of you who are getting into golf, it's a hard game. Uh,
right.
there are plenty of examples. In fact, the one that first comes to mind is the world's number one player, Scotty Scheffler, at I think it was the Tour Championship in Atlanta last year, the end of the season, the big one, the big $25 million end of the FedEx Cup playoff.
Hmm, hmm.
And he had a lead and he's in a bunker on the back nine and he just hits a cold shank. I mean, the hole was right in front of him and he hit a shot that went to 3 o'clock on your analog clock dial.
Right, right, right.
It happens. This
Yeah,
game is
yeah,
hard. Don't feel like you're the only one who hits bad shots every once in a
yeah.
while. Now, granted, he
Well,
gets very few of those, but at the same
right,
time,
right.
they do happen.
Yeah, yeah. I tell people that golf is actually it's a very easy game to play. It's very hard to play it well.
Yes.
That's the difference. Anybody can get out there and do this, but it's really hard to play it well.
Yeah.
And we all, when we're anytime we're involved in any kind of activity, we want to play well. We want to do great. And so, we try hard. But remembering that all those people behind you are trying hard too is an important part. And it's you. What I love about it is it's unique to the game of golf. You call the penalties on yourself. The classic stories of seeing the ball move, and the Bobby Jones kind of stories of seeing the ball move and assessing a penalty on yourself for that. Can you imagine, a baseball player sliding into home and saying, "No, you're wrong. He actually tagged me. He got me. Sorry, I'm out." And that would have been the time run, but no, no, sorry. He got me. I'm out. That doesn't happen. Football players who step out of bounds, that kind of thing. It doesn't happen. In golf, it's the expectation that it will happen, and that makes golf a very different game than any other game.
Yeah,
So,
I'm glad you said that and added that because I believe golf both helps develop and also reveals character.
yes,
It'll
yeah,
show you, it's a great job interview for them. It'll show you the
right,
temperament of somebody. It'll show you the integrity of someone,
right,
and it'll give you a good feel for their consideration of others and all of
right.
those things. So it's all kind of wrapped up in there, which is just another excuse for getting out of the office to go play golf, if you ask me.
Right, right, right.
Um,
No, I've written a lot of articles on business golf and had done things in related talks and presentations for business golfers and that kind of thing. And it is a very revealing game. So
Well, we are just at the front end of the season here in my home state of Michigan. And so again, we're going to put the link to the 7 Habits of Highly Effective Golfers in the podcast notes. And
Good, good.
we appreciate the little primer that you provided for everybody. And with your permission, we'll probably steal some of these for our video series. So it works
Go
on
for it. Go for it. The important thing is that everybody learns this and everybody appreciates it. This is a labor of love for Mr. Golf Etiquette. So, and if anybody, here's some things I would like to recommend or request. If anybody has a question on golf etiquette or how to do this correctly, or why is my friend not doing it correctly, send an email to me at mrgolf@mrgolf.com. And also, I don't know if you noticed on my website, I have a new feature called Your Hole-in-One Stories.
Mm.
And I just love this thing where people can send in, everybody loves to talk about their hole-in-one, right? And so send in, and everybody else loves to read about your hole-in-one. There's some great crazy stories about how people got a hole-in-one. And so I'd love to be a sort of clearinghouse for all those stories. So encourage people to send their stories in and we'll get them published and everybody can read about it.
Much appreciated. Thanks for your time and for the
Have you ever had a hole-in-one?
one time, several years ago. I have the flag up on the other side of my office, and
Nice.
it was one of those where I couldn't see it go in. It was the last place we looked because it was an
Yeah.
elevated. So
Right, right,
I don't know if that's better or worse, but that's the one.
right, right. That's
Hopefully
awesome.
another one at some point. So,
That's awesome.
Jim, thank you so much.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Bill.